Few indie titles have had as much of an impact on the gaming scene as Hollow Knight and Hades, with their influence still echoing. The month of September 2025 was announced to be the fated month that the long wait for Hollow Knight's sequel, Silksong, would end. And surprisingly, Hades 2 decided to also leave early access this same month. These two titles deliver tenfold the polish, creativity, and incredible gameplay that the first games were so beloved for, and they could easily be considered some of the best games of all time. The question stands, though, which of these indie legends is the queen that deserves this title most?
With the sisters of the first game's protagonists at the helm, each title takes the refined gameplay from their original entry and expands upon it in brilliant ways. Hades 2 is an action-packed roguelike that is filled to the brim with challenging gauntlets and dangerous bosses, as well as brilliant side content such as relationships and farming. In comparison, Silksong is a Metroidvania with intense difficulty that meshes explored to platforming with silky smooth combat and well-designed bosses that make you want to pull your hair out. Both games are masterclasses of their genre and sprinkle in mini-games and side quests to spice up every moment far beyond what their original entries did. Which is better just depends on which gameplay style you prefer, as both are immaculate from start to finish.
Bosses are a core part of both games' main progression, and will likely be what you spend the most time trying to beat. The Hollow Knight series is best known for its difficult bosses, and Silksong took the word difficult and gave it a whole new meaning with its countless annoying and challenging bosses that are littered all over Farloom. Hades 2 has more dramatic and memorable bosses, and while they do have ways to spice each of them up, you will end up fighting the same few bosses over and over. This is handled well, but it still lacks the sheer variety that Silksong's boss lineup has, which tries to challenge the player in different ways instead of just being a big health bar stopping your progress and dropping a lure. A big part of both titles is the customizability of Hornet and Molino's movesets and how you can make them play pretty much however you like. In Hades 2, you have many things you can equip before a run, with dark magic-fueled weapons completely changing how you fight. The God's Boons interact with each weapon in different ways to provide powerful builds that will make every run feel unique. Silksong has you collecting a range of equipment across the map as a reward for your exploration, and while each may not be as rewarding as each boon in Hades 2, they are all still just as fun. The crest changed the basics of how Hornet plays drastically, just like Molino's weapons. But with the tools you unlock, you get even more customization at a moment's notice. Being a roguelike means Hades 2 is designed with replaying the same content over and over in mind, and it does this well without ever making you bored. With multiple weapons and varying builds, each run will feel unique from the last. The random events and challenges you can put on yourself make for near-endless content that will keep you playing for hundreds of hours. This does mean that, overall, you will be seeing a lot of the same content, which is where Silksong shines. The massive world of Farloom is filled with hours of platforming and Metroidvania goodness, but the joy of this genre really comes from exploring it your first time. Silksong is a blast that can last you over 40 hours to 100%. But it does feel a tad bit padded at times, thanks to lackluster quests and painful runbacks to bosses. Indie titles always have some of the most stunning art styles of any video game, and these two titans do not disappoint by taking their original art styles and pushing them to include as much detail as physically possible. Silksong has a stunning mix of ridiculously detailed environments with layered art assets that make Farloom feel alive and look phenomenal. Hades 2 also has an artistic style with every area and character looking straight out of a vibrant animated movie, and it looks like a modern painting in any screenshot. The portraits during dialogue add so much to the game. However, we can't help but feel they are static, with them always standing still in the same pose with slight head or hair movements for different emotions. The story is a big focus of Hades 2, with Melinoe, the daughter of Hades, traveling through multiple lands of the gods to stop the Titan of Time, Kronos, after he wreaks havoc and takes control of the underworld. By either heading up to Olympus or down to the underworld, Melinoe will meet many colorful gods, each with lovable personalities and gorgeous designs. Silksong has a grand plot too, but it often just gets pushed aside for a focus on exploration and gameplay. The bugs all across Farloom are charming creatures who we absolutely adore, and Hornet is a protagonist who is tangled deep in her motives and goals. However, compared to how much time we get to spend with the gods in Hades 2 and how well they are written in respect to their origins, it makes all the bugs feel as small as real bugs. With a powerful mix of music in the electronic jazz and rock genres, Hades 2 delivers a soundtrack that will be on repeat in your head for hours. From the intense battle music that gets your blood pumping to win this run, to a boss fight against the band of Scylla and the Sirens, which has a vocal track that is creatively and musically a treat to the ears. On the other side, Silksong has music that, while memorable, leans towards the atmospheric side of things more than the catchy tracks from Hades 2. This fits the ruined kingdom setting very well, with the musically focused area of the Citadel scaling the music to be more prominent, but after completing the game, only a few tracks will really stick in your head. Being sequels to some of the biggest indies of all time, both Silksong and Hades 2 have a lot of expectations from eager fans to live up to, and they both smash these out of the park. With a bigger scale, more to do, and more detailed worlds than ever before, these two are both sequels that make the original games look lacking in comparison, and that is wild to say about them. While they both use the exact same gameplay as their original counterparts, both Hornet and Melinoe play completely differently and give the sequels their own identity. Silksong does lack a bit when it comes to recurring characters from Hollow Knight. They even get feeling a bit hollow in comparison to all the familiar faces who appear in Hades 2 and directly tie into the plot. This battle could easily go to either game, but we must declare a winner. By an inch of its hair, Hades 2 just outshines Silksong in a few key areas that make it reign on top. Hades 2 was a blast from start to finish with immaculate atmosphere and lovable characters that Silksong also excels in. But it sometimes just ruins the fun with its challenge. Silksong suffers from difficulty that heavily punishes players and frustrates you more than is necessary. So while the game can be enjoyable, we often have to take breaks in between boss attempts to have any kind of fun. Hades 2 makes losing feel rewarding, but in comparison, Silksong feels like you have to spend hours against a single boss until you get good enough to master the painful patterns or give up trying.